Okay, time has come. Gonalchish hadiade. Tlachosa yak aya ya dechwalgeni ya tudat. Ach tu litzin uj in lingit yuchetangish tu ya takwite. Konachoach tu yak ew uj kanachu tu ade. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming. I feel so good just looking upon your faces that we're together again. I'm glad that we're going to be studying Tlingit together again this term. This is a nice big class. We have about 34 people logged in so far. I heard there were 100 registered, so that's exciting. And I'll be jumping right in. So here we are in our spring term. This class is a collaboration between Hatch Lachish, KTOO, and Discovery Southeast. And thanks to their collaboration, we can make this class available to the public and free of charge. And I'm just so grateful that I can and be your teacher again.
Okay.
Um, I want to acknowledge one of my teachers I see in the room. My coach, Lex, is training me to become a Muay Thai fighter. And I feel so grateful that you want to know about my life. So thank you. Okay, I'll introduce myself for those of you who don't know me yet. Gonanach Nila Torah Yuchat duwasáakw, Leitchach Anna Yuchat duwasáakw, Gutski Kwan Chatsati, Gonana Yadia Yechat, Gashta Kwan Owa Uhan, Anchich Yeti, Dana Ina Anika, Gonalchisha Reidi Saache. If you're brand new to learning Tlingit, that might seem like a lot, but what I'll be doing sometimes is just allowing you opportunities to read along, and then other times we'll break down and learn little bite-sized pieces at a time. So, a translation of my self-introduction in English is in Athabaskan, I'm called Nila Torah. In English, I'm called Anna. I am of the people at the base of the clouds. So, in Tlingit culture, we are what our mother is. And so, on my mother's side, I'm white American of European descent. And a respectful way to refer to people like my heritage on my mother's side is the people at the base of the clouds because when immigrants from Europe first came to our lands, the first thing that was seen was their sails at the base of the clouds on the horizon. And that's a respectful way to refer to them or us. So that's what I am on my mother's side. And then in Tlingit, to acknowledge your father's people, you say, I am the child of those people. So on my father's side, I'm Koyakon Athabaskan. And this was the Qunana Yadiya Yechet. I am child of the Athabaskan people. We are from Caltag. And then I said, I live in Anchorage on the land of the Dene Inut people. And thanks for listening to me. Since we are a pretty big class, I'll go over a few housekeeping rules just to make sure that classes run smoothly and that everybody knows where to be and what to do. First off, go ahead and keep your microphones muted if you have background noise. It sounds like everybody's already got that down. If there's construction going on or, a TV on in your background, go ahead and just keep your mic muted. Otherwise, it's not required, but I do love to see your faces and I love to hear your voices. So when we're practicing pronunciation together, I'll let you know when, but you can go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat after me. Even though in Zoom, sometimes when everyone talks together, you can kind of clip each other out. I still find that I have an easy time hearing everybody when we pronounce something as a group. So a lot of times you'll hear me say, "Go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat after me," and we'll make a sound, and you all can do it together. I can still hear when you're speaking as a group when there's things we need to work on. So that's for pronunciation practice. We'll start promptly at 10:30 a.m. Alaska Standard Time every Wednesday morning using the same Zoom link. I know some people are tuning in from Seattle or Yukon Territory. I know that Seattle is an hour ahead of us, so for you it'd be 11:30 a.m. But Alaska Standard Time 10:30 every Wednesday. I'll try to have the Zoom open 5 to 10 minutes early for people to settle in. I know people like to log in and then go get their tea or go get their water. So I'll try to have it open so you can, be ready, but we'll start right at 10:30. All the classes for this class will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube so that people who aren't able to make it to class can catch up later. I try to keep a revolving door on these online community classes so that you don't have to stress about if you miss a class, it's not a big deal. You can always just watch the class recordings as soon as we get them uploaded. That usually takes about a week just because we like to keep them all in one place. And I'll talk more about that later. One more page of announcements. This is a multi-level class, so we have people who are starting their Tlingit language journey brand new, and we have people who've been studying for years. We also have people who've been studying with me specifically in this class for several terms. And so, what I want to say about that is don't stress. I'm going to keep you challenged, whether you're at the beginning level and brand new or at the intermediate level. And so sometimes you'll notice that things might feel way over your head if you're brand new. That's because I'm challenging the intermediate people. And sometimes you might feel like, oh, I've learned this 100 times. In that case, just stay tuned, stay activated, engaged, because that repetition is going to help you turn it into second nature for you. Because I know some people, even though you're intermediate and you have a pretty good vocabulary, you've expressed to me that when it comes time to speak in conversation, you might either freeze up or forget what you know. And that's really common. So we're going to have pronunciation repetition, and that's my goal, is for you to be able to use what we're learning in conversation. So that's mostly what I want to say about this being a multi-level class. For people who've been studying with me for a couple of years now, we will review our material so that people who are brand new to this particular class can catch up. And then I'll also be including lots of new material. So if you're brand new, don't stress. You can always ask questions, and I'll continue to review. Like I said, I like to use a lot of repetition. So yeah, repetition. I like to focus on pronunciation, and then I always usually keep the written version of what I'm saying up on the screen so that you can read along and make that association. So we'll do pronunciation, reading, and then I'll have activities for you to work on your listening comprehension. Last thing I want to share about is our pre-programmed survey. And this is something that I'm going to talk about with the Hatuch Lachish organization before I send it to you. But my goal is to send it out by next Wednesday. But just to give you a sneak peek of what that would look like, when it comes to language assessment, self-assessment for where you are in the language, I like to use I can statements because they're very clear. Like you know whether you can introduce yourself or not yet. I try to stay away from like percentages or grades or levels that can be really obscure and make you have to assess what percentage of language you use in a day. To me, that's impossible. So for the survey, just to give you an idea what you'll be asked is your email, your name, and then these, like I said, these series of I can statements. So there's a section for understanding and your listening comprehension. If you're brand new, I made this question for folks that you can check that says, I'm ready to start learning. And you can just click that if you're brand new to learning Tlingit. So those are some examples. There's a section for listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And then to me, the most important question of the survey, like it's very short, but is this last one about your language goal. Last term, when I sent out this survey, I had a lot of people fill it out, and I read your answers during my prep time so that I can stay connected with your specific language goals. And that was very helpful for me as a teacher to know what your goals are. So filling out this question just gives me something, it helps me stay grounded with your learning intentions so that I can be here in your corner to uplift your goals. Yes. Any questions? There are 50 of us in here now, so the way I like to do questions, if you have one, I might not see your hand raised. You can just unmute your mic and ask. Asking Yatla.
Hi, Yakecha. This survey is something that we had sent in an email. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, by next week. I still need to talk it over with our partners for this class and make sure it's all good to go. But we'll try to send it by next Wednesday.
Geez.
Any more questions? Okay. So, even though it's our first day, I like to jump right in with pronunciation, get warmed back up. And for this class, we've taken about a month break for the holidays, and we're just going to warm back up into it. So in Tlingit, the vowel sounds can either be short, meaning the amount of time that you're pronouncing that sound is short, or it can be long. So the duration that you're vocalizing that sound could be long. And then on top of that, they can either be low tone or high tone. So Tlingit is a tonal language, and it's very important to get your tones and your length correct because, as my teacher, Shakhsani Keek, told me, if you say the wrong vowel length or wrong tone, you can be saying something different from what you mean to say. So, in other words, the tones apply meaning to what you're saying. So, we're going to do our first pronunciation practice together. We'll start on the short side and then we'll go to long. So, go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat after me this short, low, uh. Good. Good. And then high tone, Mm-hmm. And then a single E, And then the short and high version, Short, low, And high tone, Good. Okay, uh. And then short and high. Good. Long and low. Ah. Long and high. Ah. Long and low. A. And then long and high. A. Long and low. Double E. E. Long and high. E. Double O. Long and low. Ooh. And then there's this underlined double O, and it's pronounced O. The only word I know with this sound in it is the clan Koketan. And then the high tone version. Ooh. And then this sound. Oh. Okay. Any questions on those? Okay. Awesome. We're gonna watch a YouTube video that my teacher made, Renee, and it's called an introduction to Tlingit sounds. For people who want to practice sounds on their own time, this is a great video, and I'll put the link in the chat after we watch it. But today we're gonna focus on just the vowel sounds. So I'll hit play, and then he leaves space for people to repeat after him when he makes the vowel sound, and then we can all copy. So I'll just play it through and see how it goes. Yungay, are you ready? Okay. Here we go.
Starting with the vowels are fairly straightforward, so we'll move through them quickly. The most important things to remember are you have short vowels and long vowels. You have high tone and low tone, or no tone. The way that Tlingit handles these is very deliberate. Sometimes it's a matter of the verb form, sometimes it's a matter of the noun form, and sometimes it's just a matter of speaker preference or regional dialect type issues. So we'll start by moving through these, and then we'll talk about how they relate to one another. Now we'll see the vowels that we just went through and how they can move from short to long, and how there may be a high tone or low tone version. So as you study the language, pay attention to both of those things, and as you're starting off, exaggerate them. So make the long ones quite long, make the short ones quite short, the low ones fairly low, and the high ones fairly high. It also helps to have some sort of gesture or movement, lifting your hand or doing something to show the high tone. That way you'll start to train your body to respond to what it sees and what it hears as well. So moving on, there's another category which we call
Okay, diphthongs we're going to save for another day. Are there any questions about the vowels?
dip. Starting with the vowel.
I thought that worked out pretty well for being such a big group. All right. So let's jump into pronunciation practice. Last term we left off with asking somebody how they're called, in other words, what their name is. And we're going to pick right up where we left off, and then we'll slowly be reviewing what we learned last term so that people who are new can catch up. So this is a very short dialogue. Asking someone their name is this top line, and we're going to break it down into components. But to start off, just repeat after me the whole phrase. What's, iduwasáakw. Good. And then the response is you tell them your name. And so I'll put my name here, Nila Toga, but you all can repeat after me using your own name. And so repeat after me. Nila Toga yuchat duwasáakw.
Nil atoga duwasáakw.
Good. So we'll break it down, starting with the first phrase. Repeat after me. What's, iduwasáakw.
Duwasáakw.
Good. I hear you doing a good job on this KW. So in English, we don't often see a KW at the end of a word, but in Tlingit, it's pretty common. And the way I like to explain this is when you see a W, round your lips in Tlingit. So that's what it tells you to do. And you're basically breathing out the K with rounded lips, and it makes quite a different sound from if you don't round your lips. So let's do just this sound. Repeat after me, starting with the S. Repeat after me. Saakw. Yeah. Mhm. Good. That one was good.
Really good.
Yeah, one thing Shakhsani Keek asked me to pay attention to with my students is that sometimes there's a tendency to put the W before the K. So instead of saying saakw, sometimes people accidentally say sauk. And she wants me to be deliberate about teaching that the W comes after the K. So let's do it again. Repeat after me. Saakw. Good. Okay. So starting with the first two sounds, repeat after me. Wasa.
Wasa.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Really good. So these vowels, are these high tone or low tone?
High tone.
Yeah, away. And you guys all sound, yep, they're both high. You can tell by this accent mark. So we have a long vowel here and then a short one. They're both high tone. So let's do it one more time. Repeat after me. Wasa.
Wasa.
Good. Next word, repeat after me. Iduwasáakw.
Duwasáakw.
Good. Really close. So, let's,
Sa.
yeah, there you go. So let's do just the very end of that word. Repeat after me.
Sa.
Sa.
Saku. Saku. Yay.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
I hear young voices in the crowd. It makes me happy at an early age. Okay, and the first part of this word, duwa.
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 Good. And then add this first letter I to it, iduwa.
Duwa.
Iduwa.
Mhm. All these are short and low. And the whole word, this whole word means you are called, just so you know. And the letter I is you. I'm talking about you. How are you called? So just to slowly introduce the grammar to you. That's what that letter I does. So the whole word again, repeat after me. Iduwasáakw.
Duwasáakw.
Iduwasáakw.
Good. Really good. And the whole phrase. Wasa iduwasáakw.
Duwasáakw.
Wasa iduwasáakw.
Okay.
Wasa iduwasáakw. I did it?
Ah.
So the type of question that we just learned was a how question. In Tlingit, when you ask someone's name, you're asking them, how are you called? And this is a graph I like to show to zoom out to the big picture when it comes to asking questions, so that you can see which type you ask. So if you follow the dotted line from the sound we made, which was wa, you can see that in English it means how. So we'll be focusing on this one for this lesson. And the way you can start to recognize that you're being asked a question is, first of all, any of these particles, which tell you specifically whether you're being asked what, which one, how, who, etc. The second way you know you're being asked a question is with the sound, this particle sa. So repeat after me, sa.
Da.
Yeah. Yeah. So in Tlingit, when you're being asked a question, you hear this often, sa, and that should key you in to that. If someone's speaking to you in Tlingit and they say wa sa, you should be going, oh, I'm being asked how something is. So that's as far as we'll go in terms of grammar of questions for today. And then let's look back at our whole dialogue again. So I color coded these so that you can see which part means what in the English translation. And so the part that means how, repeat after me, it's this purple part, wasa.
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 Okay. And then the part that tells you that you're being, how are you called specifically, is in red. So in English, I put it in red, and then in Tlingit, I also put it in red. It's just this short low I sound. So repeat after me, eh.
Eh.
So you'll notice, what do you guys notice about the difference between these two in terms of what order things are put?
Oops.
Basically that they're in different order, right? We have how are you called is kind of in the middle of this question phrase. In Tlingit, I would almost translate this literally if I kept the same order, as how you are called. So we won't go too far into that yet, but a lot of my students are starting to ask about word order. So without going into in-depth grammar lessons to start off, I'll just try to highlight word order so that you can start internalizing these patterns as we go.
Okay.
Same thing with the next line. So when you answer, repeat after me. I'll use my name, Nila Toga. You repeat after me. You can use your name. So Nila Toga, yuchat duwasáakw.
Nila duwasáakw.
Good. So again, you see on the English side, say your name. I am called name. You put your name last. In Tlingit, you would put it before this phrase, yuchat duwasáakw. So it's a different word order.
Let's.
So let's do some conversation practice. And the way we're going to do this is I'll be person A and you all collectively will be person B. As we get more comfortable with each other, I might ask if anyone wants to volunteer to be person B. Usually I find people are more comfortable as a group, but we'll get to know each other and feel it out. So I'll be person A, and then so I'll ask you this question, What's, iduwasáakw? And you all can be person B and just go ahead and respond with your name. Yuchat duwasáakw. Yenge iwana.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so wasa iduwasáakw.
Yuchat duwasáakw.
Good.
Video.
Okay, yeah, I like to include a video of the language we learned so that you can hear birth speakers pronouncing. Um, I'm a stepping stone for you as you start to learn Tlingit. My pronunciation is pretty accessible to English speakers because English is my first language. So my pronunciation is going to be a little bit closer to English. We all should have a long-term goal of sounding like our master speakers, people who grew up with Tlingit being their first language in the home. And so I'm excited about this video. It's a classic. It's from 1969 in the Alaska State Library's archive, but it's a puppet show. So there's some really fun puppet acting, and you're gonna hear the phrases that we just learned. So just go ahead and keep your mics muted and just sit back and enjoy the video and try to keep your ear tuned in for the phrases that we just learned. So I'm going to make this full screen. Again, Alaska State Library Historical Collections. This is a series of videos that exists in Tlingit, and it comes from a template, I think, where it was a silent puppet show, and then people can dub their own language over the top of it for language learning. And it's pretty fun. So that's all I'm going to say. Let's go.
What's iduwasáakw? وسائيتي
Dasa
وسائيتي
wasayate.
سوزي خدوساو وسائي دوساو
Jimmy yachad duwasáakw.
وسائيتي جيمي
Kash wasa susi.
Oh جيمي جيمي قيادة شكيشيان
Da tisawa. Aho wasayate yatke. Jimmy yachad duwasáakw.
خدقو أول سوزي خدوساو وسائي دوساو
Wasayi duwasáakw.
وسائيتي شاد أيا خد
Qaaq yachad.
Oh جيمي اشتكت أيا وشكون في هاتيتي
Wasayate akhunche. Wasayate.
تسواسا تسواسا تسواسا
Jimmy yachad duwasáakw.
أخيك يسأخ أديتكي سوزي خدوساو
Qaaq yachad.
قاق أيا خد
Khatawa qaaq susi.
خدقو أول أهو شاد أيا خد
Wushkhunche hatiti.
أيا خكوة أديتكي تتايا يغفتستين قيادة يونيسكي جمي قيادة شكيشيان
Tsutsaye yigahfisatin akhunche.
تتايا يغفتستين أخونكي
Okay, that one's fun. Anything you guys noticed about the video or wanted to comment on?
Seemed like there was like a lot of repetition, which
Yeah.
was probably the point, you know.
Yeah.
They kind of were moving a little fast there. They introduced themselves and then just, started dancing, I guess. I don't know. It was cute.
Yeah. They got right into it. They didn't waste much time, did they?
No.
Uh, one thing, anything else you guys noticed or wanted to comment on? So one thing I'll point out is that they used the word ye instead of you. So she said, Susie ye duwasáakw. I am called Susie. And then Jimmy used it as well. He said, Jimmy ye duwasáakw. I am called Jimmy. I usually use you, but this could be a speaker preference or maybe a dialect preference, a difference. So since the speaker said it, I would go with it, but usually I would use you. And then I'll just write out some of the other phrases. Are there any other phrases you caught in the video for folks that have been learning for a while?
وسائيتي
Okay, really good. And Skinyatla, I see your hands raised.
Wasa yayati.
They said ye. Oops, yeti. I need a spell check.
Wasayayati.
Yeah. Wasa ye. We'll play it again to specify if they said ye or ye here. So for the wasa iati, what does that one mean in English?
How are you?
How are you? Yeah. And to give you a little bit of comparison, we'll go format table, insert row. They were asking each other how are you called, and then how are you. So for how are you called, we heard iduwasáakw. How are you called? And so we have this wasa. Repeat after me. Wasa.
Wasa.
Mm-hmm.
Wasa.
Yeah. So that means how. You know you're being asked a how question. And then the differences between the two questions are you being asked how are you called or just how are you? And so this is where we have iduwasáakw for your name, how you're called, and then iyati for just how you are. The responses they gave,
Like wasa.
yeah, they said teshwasa. So
Like
that's
wasa.
really good. Teshwasa.
Yay wasa.
Uh-huh. And that means I'm fine or nothing's wrong. I'm fine. So to look at a couple more examples so that you can hear multiple speakers saying the same phrase, I'll take you to the audio recordings of Johnny Marks saying some of these phrases. But before we move on, are there any questions? You guys captured quite a bit from that video.
I guess it's not so much a question, just a comment, but wasa iati, like I noticed in Tlingit, there's like a couple of different ways that we ask how you're doing, like because it could mean like how are you doing physically, how are you doing emotionally, so like there's a couple of different terms that we have, I think, but this is just like a general sort of how you doing kind of situation, right?
Yeah, awe, kunachike. That's right. That's really good. So awesome observation. In Tlingit, when you're asking how someone is, you can specify whether you mean how they're doing emotionally, how they're doing physically with their bodies, how they're feeling, and just how they are in general. And I was taught that this phrase, wasa iati, is the most common and the most general term for just how are you in general. So to reiterate that point and that question, let's look at another language resource, and it's an audio study. If you go to my teacher's blog, Rene's blog, it's called Tlingit Yucatangi. So everyone go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat this after me. It means the Tlingit language, and it's Tlingit Yucatangi. Ah, really good. This is a great online resource for finding materials that are free. And so Rene has compiled these resources for us so that money and shipping is not a barrier to us in our language learning. The URL is just clinkitlanguage.com, and where I'm taking you right now is under the resources tab. If you click beginning materials, that's where we are, and you can scroll down to this CD. So it's when Ski and I used to study over dinner together, we had the actual CD and we would put it in the boombox and play it while we're eating and making flashcards. And I always think of that when I study this. But the name of this audio CD means hear it and sing it. The title is repeat after me. Sing it einach ach.
Get
Yeah, and so you'll have the text here. I'm going to open up in a separate tab and it looks like this. Just follow the link and we'll get the PDF of this. So this is a photo of Johnny Marks. He was Shluchach Adi, and he jumped on the mic and made all these audio recordings so that we could hear the proper pronunciation of phrases. And it's a mini phrase book and CD. If we want to scroll down to the section that Joel was talking about for asking how somebody is, it's down on here on track 25. So the way you access this learning resource is you pay attention to what track you're going to, and then if you select audio files back in clinkitlanguage.com, I'm going to open this one in a separate window. And now we want to go to track 25. I'll be opening this resource a lot, so don't worry about getting it down pat right away. But let's open it up and I'm going to play these for us.
How are you?
So I'll play it and then I'll open it up to the text so you can read along, but go ahead and feel free to unmute your mics and repeat after Johnny as we go through these. So I'm going to zoom in to make this larger. But these are the different ways of asking how someone is. And let's practice them first. So the top one, how are you in general? Go ahead and repeat after me. Wasa iyati.
Wasa
Yeti.
iyati.
Yeah, owa. And so if we want to do a physical emphasis, how's your body? Repeat after me. Wasa siyati. Okay. How are you with an emotional emphasis? Repeat after me. Wasa ituati. And then the last one, how are you feeling? Repeat after me. Wasa shtidinug. Good. Your guys' vowels sound really good. I can hear your correct tone and length. And so I'm happy about it. So let's do it again. This time we're going to practice copying after Johnny. Like I said, let's listen to a master speaker and try to close the gap to how they sound.
How are you?
Wasiyati.
How are you with the physical emphasis?
Wasiyati.
How are you? Emotional emphasis.
Wasituati.
How are you feeling?
Wasashtidinuk.
Good. That just made me so happy. That was like a symphony of Tlingit being spoken. I love it. That just makes my day because sometimes in language learning environments, speaking can be the barrier where people have a lot of vocabulary and understanding, but speaking can be the biggest challenge. So to hear you all chiming in like that just made me really happy. Any questions on those?
I have
Yes.
a question.
Go ahead.
So for wasa a to a t,
Ah,
I think I was hearing wase a to a t.
good. Good observation. I'll play it again. Um, when I listen to this one, what I notice about it is that this I is very subtle. And so it almost sounds like it's part of this sound, the sa. When I teach Tlingit, I'm teaching, like I said, a version that's accessible to English speakers. So I make it very distinct and clear, the different sounds. But as we progress into sounding more like our fluent speakers, our master speakers, we want to try to close that gap. So your observation is really helpful. That's like you're making that journey. So I'm gonna play it again. We don't have to repeat it after him this time because I want everybody to focus and tune into the what we're hearing. But again, when I hear it, this sound is very subtle. The to specify, we're asking you, how are you feeling? And then, like you mentioned, Brenda, you're almost hearing it like wase to a T. So let's listen again. And we won't repeat after him this time. We'll just listen. So it's the third one. We'll just see where this goes.
Yati.
How are you with the physical emphasis?
Wasasiyati. Wasasiyati.
How are you emotional emphasis?
Wasitawati. Wasitawati.
So, what did you guys notice this time?
They
Brenda,
said
did you?
wasi to a T.
Yeah, they did say that. Wasai to a T. Um, Brenda, how did that sound to you?
I still hear it's very subtle and I'm trying to figure it out. And it's was say to a T.
Uh-huh.
But to me, I don't know, reading it, it's wasa because the A is a high tone.
Yeah. Wasa is a high tone. And then he's
Wasa,
to a T.
wasa a to a T.
Yeah. So as second language learners, we make a space there. But when you hear Johnny saying it, it's almost like he's connecting these sounds.
Sounds like a diphthong.
Yeah. A diphthong is when you either, after a vowel sound, you either stretch with a Y sound, E, or you round with a W sound, W. Um, and we'll keep listening to this phrase and phrases like this, but the important thing I would say is that you're hearing that stretching E. So from sai, if it wasn't there, it would just be wasa to a T. But since you're hearing that wasai or wasei, that little stretching sound is letting me know specifically that I'm being asked, how am I feeling? Does that make sense?
Yes, sheesh.
Ah, really good observation, good question. Joel, you have a question or comment?
Um, I have a question about the wasashtidinuk. The gap between the sh and the t, is that intentional, or is that another form of a glottal stop, or is it representative of something else? Because I'm a little unclear about what's going on there.
Yeah, good question. This sh makes the term it makes it reflexive, meaning that the action that's being talked about, feeling, is for the person themselves. Um, So a similar phrase you'll hear is llingit yuchatangi shtuchaltu, that sh shtuchaltu. It means you're learning it, you're internalizing the language. That's how we say I'm studying llingit. Llingit yuchatangi shtuchaltu. I'm learning it, I'm internalizing it into myself. Yeah, that's how I would describe this sh.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate that. My question was more about the gap between the sh and the t. Like, is it
Oh.
because the sh part is completely different? Like, is it referring to just like what you said, and so it's not connected to the
Yeah, good.
nook?
I see. I see your question. Yeah, good question. The reason there's a gap here in the writing is so that learners can identify that that's what this sh is. In Tlingit, when you talk about states of being or action, we use a lot of prefixes and we put them together to apply specific meaning to the word, the action, or the state of being. That and you want as learners, we're going to get to a point where we want to be able to see, oh, that sh is specific to it being reflexive. It's not a prefix about something related to your head or something like that. So that's why the people who wrote this document put a space there. And I'll try to include more examples in class where we make that difference.
Sheesh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But you're right, in the pronunciation, we pronounce it as one continuous sound, shtidinuk.
And normally in a text, you'd put them together, or would it appear this way?
Good question. It would appear this way with a space. And so you internalize the pronunciation will be one continuous sound, but there's a space to let us know that this is the reflexive. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Really good questions, you guys. For people who are brand new to learning Tlingit, this might seem like a lot, but we'll, like I said, we're all at different levels and we'll continue to grow together. Any more questions? This class always flies by. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna stop our lecture there because we're out of time. And any last closing questions or thoughts? Okay. Ach tu clica yi kach de kadiohan gunalchishi ye jene ya. I feel proud of you guys. Thank you for your work today. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll meet back here, same time, same Zoom link next Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Alaska time. Gunalchish.
Ganesh.
Okay.
Yekwasatin.
Yekwati.
I can